Welcome back to BaldHeaded Metal, guys. My name is Joe. So today's an album recommendation time, and this is probably one of my favorite albums of all time, one of my favorite pieces of music of all time. This is absolute metal perfection, and this is Death, the album The Sound of Perseverance. Now, if you've never heard Death, you probably just not into death metal overall, but they're responsible for not only pioneering death metal, but also pioneering melodic death metal in the later part of their career, and it was created by Chuck Schuldiner back in 1984. Now, they've started a more hardcore death metal sound with Leprosy and spiritual healing albums. They kind of had a more hardcore sound, but as they progressed to the Sound of Perseverance, which came out in 1998, they became more melodic death metal. And unfortunately, it actually was their last album they released, because Chuck Schuldiner, the leader of the band, was diagnosed with brain cancer and tragically passed away at the age of 34 in 2001. However, the mark that this band has left, I think, is going to stay with heavy metal for all time. So just based on this history, I think it's an important album to listen to, and it's an amazing album to listen to, because every single song on this album is absolute perfection. There's these progressive and melodic elements added into this more harsh hitting death metal sound and death metal vocals with very powerful lyrics that are not just some kind of naive, immature lyrics that you typically would see from a lot of death metal, not talking about scary movies or just occult and plain Satanism. He had something to say and something to express in every single song. And songs like Bite the Pain, Story to Tell, Flesh in the Power It Holds, A Moment of Clarity, they're just absolute classics. There's one song is better than some people's whole discography and how good this music was. And there's a surprising, even instrumental, a voice of the soul that's not typical for any kind of melodic death metal band, especially bands of that time. And I think that the skill that's on display here is absolutely phenomenal from every single musician. Both of the guitarists, Chuck Schuldiner being the main guitar, and their drummer, the bassist, they're all just on the top of their career, performing in their best kind of shape that they ever could. And it's an absolute must listen, with the last song actually being a cover of Judas Priest, Painkiller. Now, that's the only song I'm a little bit iffy, because I thought it was kind of a weird cover, but in terms of their original material, it was just absolutely phenomenal. And you have to give this a chance. I actually couldn't get into it when I first listened to it. My brother kept putting this album on my desk. It's like, you have to listen to it, you have to check it out. And as a younger guy, I just didn't have the patience, because it had so many progressive elements. It wasn't immediately catchy. It didn't just like grab your attention right away. But once I sunk my teeth into it and really gave it a chance, it absolutely blew me away. Even if you don't like death metal kind of growls and screams, I highly urge for you to sit down and listen to this album from beginning to end. You'll understand why it's one of the most critically acclaimed and critically recognized bands of all time in heavy metal. Not to mention, it's on top of everybody's list as one of the top albums of all time and top bands of all time. And they're just importance in the metal history of how they helped heavy metal progress in death metal and melodic death metal, and what kind of show people the possibilities of the musicianship of heavy metal guys, where a lot of times we've been always criticized as being simplistic. He showed the complexity, he showed what's possible with his music, along with other bands out there, obviously, but just we're focusing on death here. So guys, check it out. I want to hear from you if you've heard this album and what it means to you. And if you've never heard it, please listen to it and actually come back here and let's have a chat about it. I will leave a link down below to the full album so you can check it out, and support the band if you enjoy it. I've actually bought the album myself, so I've always supported Death. I've always loved them. Just a little tidbit here. But guys, enjoy the rest of your day. Keep it metal. Have a good one.